Pedro Pascal is on a speed run to become more annoying as a celebrity than Rachel Zegler. Yeah, I think he's there. I think he honestly is worse in a lot of regards. And this is just the latest in the most ridiculous of statements from this guy. He's been at this for a long, long time. He's an absurd leftist. He's said just some of the most awful things. And it's very, very clearly from the way that Disney gives him contract after contract, The Mandalorian, Fantastic Four, etc. I mean, even his Last of Us thing, even though that's not Disney, that, this whole situation with Gina Carano and her one Instagram statement, which was not offensive whatsoever, is just total nonsense from Hollywood. And that leftists do control things, and it is a big blacklisting situation over there. Let's get into this news of what he said this time in just a moment. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate you guys being here. And gosh, there's more to it than this, which I'll get into as well. I'm a science fiction writer. If you're a Star Wars fan, I really think you'll like my Justified Saga of the Nano Templar. This is a space crusading epic. It's a lot of fun action adventure, and I would love for you to get in on a cool Star Wars universe without the crazy woke stuff in it. That's exactly what we're trying to present right here. So if you enjoy science fiction, you are really going to love this. It's in the description below. It's available on ebook, print, and audio for all of your conveniences. And please support us. Read. That's what I'm trying to get people to do these days. It's very important that we get back to reading as a culture if we want to change things here. So Pedro Pascal, like I said, made a lot of dumb comments in the past, and he has done this again. Very ironic, this one right here. F the people that try to make you scared, when the entire leftist philosophy is fear-mongering over nonsense. Remember, everybody and their mother is a literal Nazi, white supremacist, KKK, and that's their whole emotional outcry. They don't ever talk about logic. They don't ever talk about what's actually going on. It's always some sort of like hyper scare tactic. Very, very funny in this. But there's more to this statement. And of course, there's more to Pedro Pascal's past statements that make this even more of a hypocritical thing on the Hollywood actor's part, which we'll get into in a moment. But I do want to show you this. This comment is circulating around is Pedro Pascal and how ridiculous that he's being in public here with this like weird homoerotic licking of this like rainbow wand going on. I mean, what the heck? This is Hollywood these days. This is how just degenerate and gross these people are and weird these people are. And that's why we don't have like a good Hollywood anymore. If you look at the classy actors from back in the day, the Spencer Tracys of the world, and the Clark Gables of the world. Yeah, I know I'm going back to even before Boomer times and this stuff, but it was a different ballgame back then. This is what it is now, and this is exactly who Pedro Pascal is, and this is why Hollywood is such a mess at this point, because they don't even have people who are normal anymore. So during a press conference at the Cannes Film Festival, he answered a question about whether he was scared about anything being put into his dossier due to the films that he makes might prevent him from returning to the United States. This is it right here. And so, ironically, the press is trying to fearmonger about United States immigration policy. And are you scared? And by the way, deport Pedro Pascal. I think he'd be great if he'd go to an El Salvadoran prison and just kind of stay there. That'd be pretty amazing. But unfortunately, we don't have a police state that just does that kind of thing right now, even though he acts this way and the journalists act this way. And again, F people trying to make you scared. Yeah, you guys are trying to scare people on this. I just came back from El Salvador, by the way. I was there for 10 days. I went and visited, and I talked with somebody over there who's actually been to the United States twice as an El Salvadoran national. In the last 3 months, he came once for the NCAA championship and once for another deal just for personal entertainment. And like I said, 2 trips. He told me that going through immigration and customs has never been easier. That what the Trump administration has done has made things actually better, more efficient. And if you're a non-criminal like this guy is, you have no problems. And he's never had it so good traveling to the United States. That's very contrary to anything you'll hear in the media. You hear these scare tactics all the time from these leftists. I know that the World Science Fiction Convention is posting statements saying it's not safe for travel. Don't come to Worldcon. And it's like, why are you putting out statements telling people not to come to your convention and fear-mongering like this? But this is what they do. They just ramp everything up based on emotion. They don't do it based on any facts. And they just spiral themselves out of control like this to the point where this is what you get as a question if you're Pedro Pascal, right? And this is the hypocrisy of Hollywood on full display. And so here it is. The fear is that the way that they win, for one, fear is the way that they win. Now remember, this is all about fear-mongering. Are you scared that you might not be able to get back in the United States? This is fear. This is exactly what the leftists is control. The media's perpetuating fear. He's perpetuating fear. And he's claiming that fear is what our side's doing when we're just like, what are you talking about? Leave us alone. We're not Nazis. And so keep telling stories, keep expressing yourself, and keep fighting to be who you are. Now, this is all just emotional nonsense garbage. Keep fighting to be who you are. What the hell is that even supposed to mean? It doesn't mean anything, but it does evoke feeling in people. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. And then here we are. And I don't know, F the people that try to make you scared. And remember, this entire question is about making people scared about United States immigration policy. That's it. And fight back. This is the perfect way to do so in telling stories. Don't let them win. Don't let them win. And that's, this is it. It's a big emotional appeal as he's pretending like emotional appeals are somehow a bad thing. This is why these people are ridiculous. And here is Pedro Pascal on Instagram before calling people Confederates losers in 85 and 65, losers in 1945, losers in 2000, right, or 20, even though Trump did win the election and it was completely stolen, which I will have to correct that record right there. So, yes, he does this all the time. I lived in a police state, and this is what it's like. This is what he's also posting to Instagram again, right? Saying it's a police state, and when it's not, very clearly. He also bashed J.K. Rowling. Here it is. Awful, disgusting shit is exactly right. Heinous loser behavior. This is talking about just another artist, too. So it's not even about that. So if you have the wrong opinions on anything at all, you are just going to be personally destroyed and personally attacked on this level. It's all about creating and cultivating fear. It's all about, and this is what it's for, it's all about creating social pressure on their side so that they can just have this sort of fear-mongering stuff go on all the time, and then have everybody riled up to be following them exactly so they don't get out of line, right? And if you get out of line, you are faced with the threat that this is going to be done to you, and so therefore you don't go out of line, you don't say anything. This is why, for decades, conservatives and Christians in Hollywood, the media, publishing, all have, when they are in those situations, and there still are some, by the way, they stay silent. They try to make sure that people don't know what their politics are, and that way they stay apolitical. So you have one side fighting full tilt, and then you have one side trying to be apolitical and be silent because they're afraid of the side that's going full tilt. That is what Hollywood is, so ironically and so hypocritically in this point. And unfortunately, that's what's caused us to get to this state of the culture where things have been so bad. If we had just stood up and exerted ourselves and been who we are, as they like to say, these people would not have this power because they only have the power because they've created that fear. Ironically, that is really the whole crux of the situation where we're at with Pedro Pascal right now. And so earlier in the interview, he was asked about immigration policy. He admitted he was not informed enough to provide an answer. This is the best part about this. It's all an emotional fear-mongering tactic. They say F fear, right? And yet they are completely afraid, and they're afraid not based on any factual information, but just based on fear-mongering tactics that they've hyped themselves up with. It's all emotional. These are emotional babies who cannot process anything whatsoever. Actors are drives me crazy. It's obviously very scary for an actor who's participated in a movie to sort of speak to issues like this. It's far too intimidating a question for me to really address. I'm not informed enough. Okay, yeah. You're not. Correct. And it's very, very funny on this stuff. I want people to be safe and protected. I want very much to live on the right side of history. He's just a big buzzword machine, isn't he? Does he say anything else? Does he have any rational arguments? And here we go. I'm an immigrant. Yes, yes, please clap. My parents are refugees from Chile. I myself was a refugee. We fled a dictatorship. Yeah, commie dictatorship at this point. It's terrible over there. I was privileged enough to grow up in the U.S. and after asylum in Denmark. If it weren't for that, and I don't know what would have happened for us, I also stand by these protections always. I'm too afraid of your question. I hardly remember what it was. Oh, so please clap. And that's all it is. These guys are all about fear. They're all about emotion. They're all about nonsense. And then they just go forward and perpetuate this kind of stuff all day long. It's such a hypocrisy, all these people in Hollywood. And I'm just getting sick of it. And honestly, Pedro Pascal is a film liability. I don't want to see the Fantastic Four at this point because I don't want to see his ugly mug in this sort of deal because it just reminds me of this crap. It really is toxic for Hollywood. And then I don't want to see the stupid Mandalorian and Grogu movie for the same reason. At what point do they realize that they're cutting off half of their audience just because they want to exert control and exert their fear-mongering? I don't know. But SJWs always lie, SJWs always double down, and SJWs always project. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure to check out Justified Saga of the Nano Templar. Despite being blacklisted by these people, despite facing hurdles all the time, they've got me banned on Kickstarter, got me banned on Patreon. I am doing it anyway. I'm not afraid. I tell it like it is. I create the art. You want to talk about taking a risk? This guy doesn't take any risks whatsoever. Everybody in Hollywood claps for him while he does this little performative stance. I take the risks over here, and I hope you'll check it out and check out my art. It's in the description below. Really appreciate you guys being here. We'll be back soon.